Welcome back to this video series on Outsmarting Reality by Neuro Knowledge. This is block 2. We're covering chapter 6 and chapter 10 in this video. So let's dive deeper. The 5 chapters that we will be covering today is the annoying law of the universe, on earth as in heaven. Number 8, which is you can't outrun your frequency. Number 9, which is redefining manifestation. And number 10, desires of your desires. We'll get deeper into what each chapter means. So let's start with the annoying law of the universe. You can only have what you already have. Let's take a look at some quotes from chapter 6. One of them are, an unfortunate truth of reality is that nothing is lacking from us except that which we fail to give ourselves, which is a smart way of saying that the universe only gives you what you have already given yourself. So if you fail to give it to yourself, the universe will not give it to you. Another one of this law is the harder you try, the less the universe complies. And it's another way of saying the first one. And the third one is there are things that come naturally to you, skills, talents, or manifestations that flow with ease for you, but with which others struggle. You may not even recognize them as special because they feel effortless to you, but that effortlessness is the power. And this is really deep. The main key here is we're all doing manifestations, and we're all doing things that we materialize in a very effortless way. I don't know what that is for you. Maybe you're really good at running. Maybe piano comes easy to you. Maybe you're a really good reader, or you're really good at communicating and you don't even think about it because it comes so effortless to you. And one of the really cool things about this is if you channel that confidence that you have into something else that you don't really feel confident about, you can use that to create the same feeling of effortlessness because you've already achieved it. And there's always something, you just have to dive deeper into what that is for you. So let's take a deeper look into the annoying law of the universe. You can only have what you already have, and if you don't already have it, you can never have it. And if we look at it from a metaphysical lens, it's the law of rhythm, which means everything that goes up goes down at some point, and the law of polarity, which is everything has a positive and a negative kind of charge to it, similar to a magnet. And then you have the 2 M's, which are you can magnify and maintain. That is the universal principle to maintain balance. And then you have the universe not being moral. And if you add all of these up, you kind of get the annoying law of the universe. And the main point here is about using the wave instead of resisting it. And what does that mean? Well, when life gives you an amazing high and you are feeling on cloud 9, it can also give you a very, very steep low. So the clue here is to be calm regardless of the wave. So if you look at life in the physical reality, the waves symbolize whatever life gives you, which is the physical. And what you're supposed to do is be calm regardless of whatever happens in the physical reality. And the clue here is the power of not needing. So you shift from wanting to having. That's kind of the main takeaway from this chapter. When you go from wanting, you are in a state of lack. And when you go to a state of having, you're in a state of abundance. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to say to the universe, I already have it. And then the universe does the work for you, rather than you chasing it through physical actions. Be non-attached, so the universe wants you rather than you chasing it. That's a point from the previous point here of not needing. And feel like it's effortless. Because if it's effortless, it comes to you much easier. And you're already doing this. There are certain things in your life, whether it's brushing your teeth or running or whatever it is, that comes effortless to you, and you can channel that emotion. So here are some practical examples of having over wanting. So if you feel inside that you lack money, love, or confidence, The universe treats that as a broadcast of lack. So what you will receive then is a situation that confirms the lack. And if you feel inside that you have plenty and you are plenty and you're deserving of plenty, the universe broadcasts that as having or abundance. And you will see circumstances that matches that plenty or that abundance. Another more practical example is let's say you are single and you want to be in a relationship, so you feel like you need someone to fill your other half, which is a very common thing to say and feel. And you are in a single mindset. So let's say you've been on a couple of dates and you adopt the feeling that all men are trash or all women are trash or something along those lines, and you have people feeding you with the same type of information, and you are in a belief that you are chasing love, but there's not a lot of good people out there. The identity that you have are still single, so you do single activities, and the mood that you're constantly in is a state of lack or in a state of annoyance because this is not coming to you. And the result of that is you are still single. And let's take scenario 2. Let's say you're still single, but you have a good relationship with yourself. You don't need someone else to fill up your cup. You're good with it and you're good without it. And you are entering a relationship mindset, which is you're willing to ask friends and family and other good people in your network if they know anyone that are a good potential match for you. You have a mindset where you are prioritizing your own health in a healthy way. You are eating good food. You are in a relationship mindset. So you are at places where people that are looking for a good relationship might be, not only the club, but maybe you're going out to events, maybe you're talking to people in a way that opens you up to connection rather than being closed off, and that indicates to the universe that you are ready to be in a relationship. And a lot of people are in both of these categories, but they typically fall into the second one right before they enter a relationship, because you are symbolizing to the universe that you're good with it and you're good without it, which is kind of cool. A lot of people that I've talked about have been in that second category right before entering a relationship. So, chapter 7, on earth as it is in heaven, as within, as without. That is a quote or a chapter in the Kybalion, and this is on earth as it is in heaven in chapter 7 here. In the modern day, hell is the equivalent to living in survival mode. That is a quote from the book, and is also a parallel to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs from the first video, where we talked about the bottom level being in survival. And apple seeds will never produce mangoes. That is a fancy way of saying the beliefs that you have will only give you the manifestations that those beliefs correlate to. Meaning, if you have a negative mindset, you can never expect to have a positive outcome. And metaphysically, to live in a heavenly state is to exist with inner calm, peace and bliss, fulfillment, and to desire nothing, which indicate you have everything, which also means that everything will be given to you. So, your inner world equals your heaven or hell. The kingdom of heaven is within you, not outside of you. So the inner world of heaven must precede the outer world of earth. What is the meaning of that? Well, the meaning is you have to internally shift to a state where you internally feel like you don't really need the external reality to change, because your heaven is inside and your heaven is good. And again, it's about doing that mental shift before. And hell is survival mode. We touched upon that with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it is constant stress, it is constant fear, anger, being in a state of anxiety, and not really being able to move. You feel stuck. So it's about mentally transmuting that feeling into something that is more serving of you. And we have the 3 planes of existence: mental, spiritual, and physical. We also have the same reference in the Kybalion, and there are more levels to each of these. So if you think that is exciting, you can take a look at that. And the switch here is to, instead of trying to force your outcome change in the physical reality, you use most of your attention, which is your most valuable currency, and emotion, which is the emotional language, to change your mental state rather than trying to do that in the physical reality. And you become what your desired reality is, and then you attract it. So that's kind of the main point here. And here we have some related topics. So we have gamma waves, beta waves, alpha waves, theta waves, and delta waves. And these are just different types of vibrations from a more classical physical lens. And vibrations, they vibrate in hertz. So what we want to do here is to be in a state of a relaxed state, so we can enter our subconscious mind. Some other related topics as well is what Joe Dispenza talks a lot about, which is HRV, heart rate variability, which correlates to the emotional state that you have and your mental state. So if you get this beautiful graph, it's a state of you being in a state of calm and bliss. And if this graph is shaking a lot, and that is a sign of anxiety or something that correlates with stress or anger or something of a lower frequency. So the clue here is to be in a relaxed state, either in alpha or theta, and then mentally using that to change your mental state into something positive. And what can that mean? Well, you have the law of polarity, and this is the key to getting what you want. You have these polarities, so desperate, unaware, stress, greedy, calm, aware, relaxed, and gratitude. What you want is to be able to, if you feel one of those feelings of what you can categorize as negative feelings, you can actually mentally transmute them. And we've talked about that in another video on techniques and mindsets, so check that out. And here are more practical or more realistic examples. To the photo of the left, you have someone with glasses, and you have someone who is on the left side seeing very clearly, and on the right side not seeing clearly at all. And that is just an explanation of when you are in a state of calm, gratitude, bliss, you see reality much clearer than when you're angry, in a state of anxiety, and in a state of survival. So it's actually crucial for you to be calm, because that is the clue here. On the photo to the right, you have Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James doing a meditative practice before a game or before practice. And this is also another way of saying when you're in a state of calm, you see much clearly what's going on the field or on the court, and you can use that to your advantage because you see plays more strategically and tactically clearly than you would if you're in a state of distress. So maintaining a state of calm is crucial. Chapter 8, you can't outrun your frequency. Frequency first, then action later. So one of the quotes from the book is, visible light makes up approximately 0.0035% of the full electromagnetic spectrum, meaning the 99.995% of the spectrum is invisible to the human eye. And what that means is, in classical physics, we know that we can only see from our human perceptive eye very, very little of what's actually going on in the universe. Meaning, we don't really see reality as it is, we see reality as we are. And the second quote here is, the mirror will never smile before you do. Meaning, you have to internally shift until you can see reality change. You can't make the mirror smile at you and then you will smile. And we'll go deeper into what that actually means. So maintain your frequency and don't outwork it with action. Morning affirmations plus midday panic equals net zero. That's how the universe works. So even though you make some positive changes, if you fall down from grace, like Joe Dispenza would call it, and you maintain that fall and you are in a constant panic, it's still a net zero for you. So you have to maintain that good energy, and whenever you fall down from grace, or whenever you fall down into anger or desperation or anxiety, you try to mentally transmute that feeling back up to getting back up to a state of calm and gratitude and bliss. And the strongest frequency wins. Most emotional signal dominates the frequency. So as we talked about, emotion is the strongest part of your frequency. So if you can use that to your advantage enough times, it will become your most powerful asset to increase your frequency. And that is what this book is about. It's about how do you understand your own frequency and how do you increase it. And the goal is to maintain a baseline, not peaks. This is a little critique that I have of the enlightenment movement. A lot of people do these fancy enlightenment things. They take different type of drugs or do different type of practices. They get a glimpse of enlightenment and then they fall straight back down to whatever frequency they previously had, which is not good. We'll get to more examples on that. And don't try to outwork your frequency with action. We've talked a lot about this in a lot of the videos, but that is actually the main point about the multi-dimensional sequence. Do not try to outwork yourself. Try to change your frequency first, and then you can follow your intuition. There's an order to the universe, and following that is the most easiest way to get what you want. And outwork your frequency by changing the 7 keys. Yes, that is where you want to put in the work. It's to change your frequency, not to change with action. A drop in frequency equals a drop in physical reality. A lot of us have tried New Year's resolutions, we've tried dating, we've tried losing weight or gaining weight, or whatever you want to do. We've tried meditation retreats, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel. I've started a YouTube channel many times. Working out, trying to get rich, travel, all that stuff. And what happens is that there's a drop in frequency that equals a drop in physical reality. So a lot of us have this internal motivation the first 2 weeks when we go to the gym after New Year's resolution. We're going to do a lot of amazing things, and then it kind of dials down, and then the motivation runs out, and then you kind of fall back. And the key point here is to maintain your frequency. What you do is you try to physically change through dieting or exercising or going on a bunch of dates without changing your frequency first. So that's the clue here. Again, change frequency, not change your physical reality. Don't try to outwork yourself with action. Outwork yourself with frequency, and then follow your intuition and let that guided intuition lead to certain actions. And try this if you have the time, and if you really want to see change. Meditate for 5 minutes before any activity, reminding yourself how it aligns with your desired reality. So, and visualize the scene where you already get what you want. 5 minutes before, that is literally it. If you want to have an amazing workout, 5 minutes before the workout, or when you're at home, put on a timer, 5 minutes. Just visualize yourself doing the exercise is great. Everything is perfect. You already have a squat rack to go to if that's what you want. The weights are feeling super light and super nice. You have all the equipment you need. When you do the exercise, everything feels smoothly, everything feels natural. If you have an exam, before the exam, visualize yourself going to the place, that the questions feel easy to you, that this feels like it comes naturally to you, your pen or your computer is working perfectly, you feel like you have all the time in the world. If it's work or school, you can do a similar practice. If it's an interview, feel like you already have the job. Feel like when you go in there, the questions are so effortless and so easy to you, that the place feels so natural to you, that the offers just come your way. If you're going on a date, before the date, feel like this is going to be a very easy conversation, the topics flow effortlessly, the vibe is great. If it's a social event, same thing. Feel right before, meditate for 5 minutes, think, wow, you're gonna have so many amazing conversations flow easy to you. So this is a 5-minute practice, super easy, doesn't cost you a thing, but it will calibrate you and it will give you so much. So this is one of the things you can test out. Chapter 9, Redefining Manifestation. Internally shifting to a degree to which you are no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change. So here are some quotes from the book. Nothing in your reality will ever change until you change your frequency or state of consciousness. And what does that mean? That is the main points that we've been talking about in block 2 here, which is you are internally shifting to a degree where you're no longer dependent on seeing reality change. You don't really need to see reality change because you are reality, and when you see life through your lens, it is already good, and then things will happen for you. And all successful manifestations require synchronistic alignment across all 3 planes of existence, which are spiritual, mental, and physical, and not just 1 or 2, meaning you cannot just try to force things in different orders. You cannot just force in the physical world and make the spiritual and mental change. You can that with a lot of energy and effort, but it will not maintain. And back to the examples about the New Year's resolutions. And the true language of the subconscious mind is emotion, which also means the emotion is the language of God. So if you combine attention with emotion, you have the recipe to manifest whatever you want. Now, redefining manifestation, not wishful thinking, just careful calibration. You are the radio, be ready to be tuned. And how do you tune that? It's the 7 keys, which are beliefs, charged thoughts or emotionally charged thoughts, attention focus, identity, mood, perception, and conviction. And what you want to do is you want to tune all of those to your frequency and maintaining that tuning. So you have to be careful about what you want, and then you spend most of your energy, your attention, your precious attention, your gold on that. And you do that enough times and maintain that enough times, and it becomes your new frequency. And one of the traps is that manifestation equals techniques, right? We think that doing visualization, doing meditations, doing these retreats is what causes the manifestation. That is wrong. You are the manifestation. You are not the technique. You are the person behind, right? It's the attention and emotion you put behind it. You can watch anime and you can feel like you are the character and you are doing the same things. And when they are feeling despair in this TV show or whatever, you still feel like you are doing it, and that equals a form of manifestation. So don't think it's the techniques. It's always been you. You are the technique. And how to win? Well, it's frequency first and then specifics follows. And that is the multidimensional sequence that we talked a lot about. And internally shifting so you are good with it and good without it. That's one of the previous chapters. Non-attachment and self-trust, which leads to higher conviction. We've talked about the ability to follow through and the inability to follow through. And if you can use that to your advantage through self-discipline and self-mastery, we will also cover this thing called the perception projection loop, but that is one of the key fundaments here, in addition to the 2 M's, that makes this such a powerful thing that will lead to more powerful manifestations. And here are some journal prompts for you if you think that is your vibe. One of the questions here is, what do you want that you feel like you don't deserve? And this is a very powerful question. It can be that you want higher salary, you want to lose weight, you want to do something, but you don't feel like you deserve it. And being in a state of deserving and in a state of gratitude instead of lack is key here. So if you find something that you feel like you don't deserve, then really hone in on that, because that is an amazing finding. And we're all scientists here trying to figure out what are we believing and not believing that we don't deserve, or what are our limiting beliefs, and how do we mentally transmute that to something positive. And how can you internally give yourself everything in the world? This is also a very powerful question. What is holding you back from giving you everything in the world? And the last question here is, who are you if fear is not holding you back? Also a very powerful question. What is holding you back? Is it judgment from others? Or others are just a reflection of your internal self, right? So here are 3 really good journal prompts, and if you like, you can share some journal prompts yourself in the comment section. Now, a very natural question here is, how long will it take for something to manifest? And the key here is not really how long it will take in physical reality. The key here is how fast can you change your own frequency and maintain your own frequency. Because all manifestations are instant, right? When you've made the change on the mental level, it will directly affect the spiritual level, which again will affect the physical level. Now the question is, how long can you maintain your new frequency, and how fast can you change it when you drop back to the old frequency? That is the real question here. If you can manage that, then you've managed this whole thing. You've understood this book very deeply, and this is the main thing here: maintaining your frequency. Chapter 10, which is the last one for block 2, is the desire of your desires. Be the person that attracts your desires. So here are some brilliant quotes. Detachment and letting go are necessary if you are to alter your reality. And what does that mean? Well, it means that being able to be non-attached and letting go of beliefs that don't serve you, and letting go of the fact that you really, really want something and switching it into having something is key. The second point here is, most people spend their lives wanting things without things wanting them. What does that mean? People want to be rich, they want to be in a relationship, they want to be fit, they want a lot of things, but they spend most of their time in lack instead of abundance, instead of having a higher frequency, which is the mistake that they do, because they live in the physical reality and not on the mental plane. They don't understand the order, which is mental, spiritual, and then physical. And the third point here is, you don't want what you desire, you want the internal state you believe it would put you in. The desire of your desires. Don't chase your desires, let them be attracted to you. So the key here is to find the feeling, the gold behind the goal. So if you want money, you don't really want money. Maybe you want freedom, maybe you want attention, maybe you want validation, maybe you want to liberate the pain of seeing your family suffer. I don't know, but it's not necessarily money that you want. You want the feeling of being free. And when you want peace, you also want to be in a state of calm, right? You want to be in a state of gratitude. You want to be in a state of freedom, in a way. You want to be in a state where you're not disturbed. And let's say social networking or like social events. Maybe you want a feeling of belonging, of togetherness, of connection, right? These are feelings that you can give yourself. And here's the reason why you can give it to yourself. In a very, very, very simple way, you create your reality. And how do you do that? Well, you experience reality through your mind and through your eyes, not through anyone else's eyes. And that means that you create the emotions that you feel inside. And if you meditate a lot, you can notice that you can switch your awareness from one thought to another thought to no thoughts. And through a lot of this work, you might find that you are creating all of your feelings internally. No one else is creating feelings for you. So if you can create your own feelings, what type of feelings do you want to create? That is a very powerful question. Another point here is ask why you want a desire and then go for that rather than going for the shallow version. So back to our example of money. Most people don't really want money, they want freedom. Or most people don't want to be in a state of stress. That's what they're actually trying to avoid here. And you become what you want before you get it. That is internally shifting. And make your desires want you. And that is a state of not needing what you want. You have a very chill, relaxed relationship to it. A practical example, or a more garden-related example here is, let's say you are planting some flowers, or you're planting some new plants or something in your garden, and you think that feeding it with water all the time makes it grow. But if you truly understand the order of the universe, there's not just water that you need sun, you need wind, you need the environment to be correct. And that is exactly what you're trying to do here. You're not trying to force your way through making the plant grow through water. You let the universe do the work. And one of the ways you do that is having a state of not needing, because you have everything. And there's a very famous quote in the manifestation world where you say, you don't chase, you attract. And you do not chase your desires, they should be attracted to you. That's kind of the clue here. And remember, you are the magnet, not the metal. You are the magnet, so you want to chase, or you want wealth, love, and fitness come to you, not you chasing it. Wow, that is an amazing animation that I forgot that I put in there. And one of the last quotes here is, ironically, the more you immerse yourself in the feeling of how you feel upon attaining your desired reality, the less you need it to externally change, and that's how you detach or let go. This is very powerful stuff. What this quote means is, when you internally have it for yourself, you don't really need to have it in physical reality, which will make something come much quicker to you than you being in a state of desperation. So the clue here is to have a mental awareness of what your emotional state is, and a mental awareness on where you put your attention, and combining those two will create magic in your life. So here is a summary of block 2, that's chapter 6 to chapter 10 in Neuroknowledge's book on outsmarting reality. You have the annoying law of the universe. You can only have what you already have, or you can only have what your frequency allows. The second point is, on earth as it is in heaven, what you feel inside is what you create, or what creates your personal reality, which is your personality. Another way of saying that is, as within, as without. The kingdom of heaven is inside of you, not outside of you. You cannot outrun your frequency. Don't try to change your frequency through actions merely. Change yourself through your frequency alignment, and then let yourself be guided by the spiritual plane, and giving you the intuition and mental nudges to make the exact changes you need to make. And manifestation is about internally shifting, not letting the external reality drag you along of the drama of life, or Maya, which is used in the Bhagavad Gita. And then desires, you want the feeling, not the outcome. You want safety, love, calm, peace, etc. You don't want the materializations. So you don't want the car, you don't want the money, you don't want the girl, you don't want the person, you don't want any of the outcomes. You actually want the feeling. That is what you're trying to get. So that was all for this time, and I'll see you guys in the next video. In the next video, we'll cover block 3, which is the 5 next chapters, chapter 11, chapter 12, chapter 13, 14, and 15. See you in the next video.